Hi, this is Zach, and I'm going to show you how to use the new Diff tool in the Takeoff browser. So I have a job open here, and the glass takeoff has already been done on it. So with the Takeoff browser, I can hit refresh and get all the information for everything that's in this Revit model. And it should take just a few seconds to load. And there are multiple tabs here that show you the elevations, the units, the mullions, and the infills. Today we're going to be talking about the infills mostly. And so this mimics the process that happens through the Takeoff program, where what you see here is what you're going to get out of the Takeoff program when you put this model into it. So the next step, once I have all my glass listed here, is to make sure that I have the right program open in the Takeoff program, which I do. This is the one that was used for the glass takeoff. And then I can hit this button to load the current Takeoff program data to compare with the model. So what it's doing is it's comparing all the information in the Takeoff program to what's inside this model right now, and then showing me where the differences are. So we're going to start with glass here, and it added two new columns here, Delta Model and Delta Release. In the Takeoff program, the data for this model is kind of in stored in two different places. One of them is how it interprets this model. So this delta model represents the differences between the current model that you see that's open in Revit with what was in Revit before when the glass takeoff was done on the last UPD ever done on this model. And then the other place where information is stored is on the units themselves, the AutoCAD units. So when the glass takeoff was done, AutoCAD units were drawn for this entire model, and they have their own piece of glass. So Delta Release compares the what's in this model right now to what is in the unit drawings in AutoCAD at the time that they were released. So if I can sort by these two columns, so let's just sort by release for now, because it turns out in this job it's almost the same sort. And then you'll see that all these ones with green check marks means that it's identical. So if I sort by model, actually, you'll see that all of these, except for this one piece of glass, has a green check mark on it, which means that the database model, i.e., the model that's in the database, is exactly the same as the Revit model that I'm currently looking at. This one is blank because it has this yellow icon here for under release, and if I mouse over it, it tells me the release has this infill, but it's not in this model. So this is a glass that's drawn in AutoCAD, but it doesn't exist in any Revit model, past or present. And if I mouse over it, you can see the sizes. It's type 1H, the width, height, and the daylight width and height. If I sort by release, this one's much more interesting. It has this one light that exists in the database. That's why it's a database plus sign, but it doesn't exist in this model. I also have these here, which exist in the model. So this means that the old model had it and the new model has it. This means that the current model has it, but the release itself does not have it. That's why it's a database minus sign. And if I mouse over it, it tells me, I don't know, I hope you can see the whole thing. It looks like my tooltip might be cutting off, but it says here, database model matches, release does not have this infill, and then it gives me a table showing me what it is, what it looks like. Let me see if I can shift this up a little bit. Like that. And there. Now you can see the whole thing. It shows you, for this one, this happens to be a pattern piece of glass. At least it was a pattern in the current Revit model. It says here patterned. It was a pattern. It was exactly the same in the original model in Revit, but now it does not exist in AutoCAD, and that's what this release does not have this infill means. It also even shows you how the patterns compare on top of each other. So if there was a significant pattern change, you would see two different colors. You'd see a blue and a red, and where they overlap, it's kind of that purplish color. Same goes for all of these lights here. They were all in the model but not in the unit. So that means someone probably erased it from the unit because it wasn't needed. Or in this case, these two here are the same location ID. So I'm guessing this one was erased from the AutoCAD drawing, and it was replaced by this one, which is an actual rectangle. So they wouldn't have a pattern glass. That's my guess on this. If I mouse over these other ones, these triangles mean that it exists both in AutoCAD and it exists in the current model, but they're not the same. So you can see here when I mouse over it, it gives me a little more detail. The database model, which is the original glass takeoff model of this of the Revit, the original Revit glass takeoff, was the same, but the AutoCAD release that's currently in there, inside the unit drawing, it has a different height for the glass. It's 29 and 9/16 height instead of the 27 and 7/8 that you see on the models. So that was changed for some reason. I'm not sure why. You can investigate further if you click on one of these, and just like with the normal Takeoff browser, you can highlight something here and then hit this bullseye, and it will go find it. Now my window's a little too small. It will go find it, and I have to orbit myself. So it was this light here that has a different size in AutoCAD than it has in here. If I scroll down a little more, I think those are the only icons you'll see. You'll see those 4 different icons. Green means perfect match. This red triangle means that they both exist, but it's slightly different in some way. Could be a different glass type, could be a different shape. This means that it doesn't exist in the database, and this means it only exists in the database and doesn't exist outside of it. The other feature that doing this process has is under units. So it adds this after UPD column. So a unit, if you look at any one of these, if I were to hypothetically change this unit to UXXX and then re-UPD it, it's going to get this unit number. Which, so right now it's already this unit number. So this basically means that nothing has changed as far as the Takeoff program is concerned. Nothing has changed in this unit from now to the last UPD that you ran. If I sort by this column, you'll see that some of these units are actually going to change. So some of these, like this unit 68, if I blanked out its unit number and ran it through UPD, it's going to be a unit 9 now, which you'd have to do some more investigation. It looks like a bunch of these became unit 9s. Maybe there were some small variations or a mistake in the original units where they originally got these unit numbers, but now they're all turning into unit 9. Same with this unit 55. Similar thing happens there. You can't, unfortunately, mouse over these and it'll tell you exactly what the difference is. That may be in some future update. But for now, it just tells you, in a hypothetical world, if you were to black out this unit by making it a UXXX, run UPD, this is the new unit number you're going to get. If that unit already exists, unit 9 already exists on this drawing, it'll tell you the exact unit number that it will be. So for these have changed so that they don't match any existing unit, so they're going to be a new unit number. And it's not guaranteed, but this will probably become unit 223 if you black this out and re-UPD it. And that's because the original U213 is different than it is currently, so it's going to get a new unit number. And same with all these other ones. And in case you didn't know, this key over here is kind of the reason why these things change. So this key means that anything with the same key number, like these three, are actually going to be the same. They look like they're the same unit in the Takeoff program. So if you find all the ones that are key 32, they should, if you black them out, become the same unit number. This just tells you what unit number it will be. But you don't have to connect to a database to see that units are the same or not. You could just look at this key. And that's basically how you use this, what I don't know what I call it, diff, difference between glass and units. This one, the units unfortunately doesn't tell you the difference, but the glass, it goes pretty explicit onto what the exact differences are. So thank you very much, and I hope you find this this tool useful when you're making your fabs. Thank you.